And we're live.
Hey y'all, what's up? This is the No Nonsense Podcast pilot episode part 2. I am your host, Naeem Abul Hawa, and I got our co-host here, Oscar Montio. Before we get into it, I want to make sure we tell everyone to, like and subscribe, and please comment below on your thoughts and how you feel and any topics we pose here. Talk to us. It's all about discussion. So please dropping the like for the video and subscribe. But we will talk about this accent later, actually in a little while. Hi Oscar, what's up?
Hey, Naeem, how you doing?
Very well, very well. So I intentionally switched into that accent. That is some people will say stereotypical Arabic accent. Some people will say it's just me being a cheap comic. And I intentionally did that to bring up the conversation worthy of having about um, accents and impersonators and the idea of making one's culture into comedy. So, as you guys can tell, I was born and raised here in the United States of America and to the republic for which we stand. Anyway, I don't want to read the whole Pledge of Allegiance here. Um, and I, I don't have an accent, right? But I was making one there. Some argue that is pride in one's culture. So I am of Palestinian descent, and I'm very proud to be Palestinian. Hashtag justice for Palestine. I don't know if that's a hashtag, but we can make it a trending one, hopefully. Lots of oppression in the occupied territories and continued annexation on July 1st of 2020, unfortunately. But the Palestinians have a will, and we will fight through this oppression and reach a fair and just conclusion, hopefully. Anyway, so I'm from Palestine, and I'm proud of my Arab heritage. I am Arab Muslim, and I hold a high degree of pride in that. But when I do something like that, when I make an accent, uh, some people see that as just comic relief, as just good comedy content. Others may see that as being disrespectful or a distasteful joke. So I don't know. I want to hear everyone's thoughts. What are your thoughts, Oscar? Say someone you're from El Salvador, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
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 I
talk to
remember.
us about what if someone came up with I guess is it proper to say a Hispanic sounding accent or something like that? How would you feel about something like that, or other cultural implications, if you will? Go ahead and let us in if you're comfortable, of course.
All right. So obviously, so for some weird reason, and Naeem, you can help me out with this. So Central America, a lot of people, think of Spanish people. They automatically think, oh, you're Mexican. If from that Central America range, not caring if you're say from I don't know Guatemala, Salvador, Honduras. Let me throw some South American countries in there as well. Bolivia. They just don't care, or they just don't know of because Central America. Like, when I remember when I was young, I didn't even know what Central America was. I was taught since I was young there was only 7 continents. Um, so I would always wonder about what about Central America? What about Central America? So that's understandable. I would always get the comment, "Hey, you're Spanish, so you're Mexican." I take it. I'm like, no, I'm from El Salvador, And there are those that want to ask because they're curious, or they in a few cases, I've been called Mexican just because I'm Spanish, but I recorded with something else, but I won't get into that. So yeah, I don't know. That's my a little bit about my background, about my culture. We some people. when you think Hispanic, they think Mexican, even maybe Puerto Rican, depending on what you look like. So yeah.
You know, I can sympathize with that, Oscar. I really can because well, first and foremost, scientists out here, please correct us. I think Central America is like an extension or a subcontinent of North America. You know how like sort of the Indian subcontinent is part of Asia, but it's kind of its own thing. Um, I'm not 100% sure. Scientists, please let us know in the comments below. So, I can sympathize because, you know, being Palestinian, very, very proud of my homeland of Philistine. There are lots of folks who confuse the word Palestine for Pakistan. And I have great brothers and sisters, some of the best. I'd like to shout them out here on this podcast and for everyone to know who are from Pakistan. And Pakistan has some of the best food, some of the best culture, but they're not Palestinian, let alone they're not Arab. They speak Urdu in Pakistan. I think Urdu and Punjabi and Pashto and Sindhi and all the different languages, but they don't speak Arabic. I'm pretty sure people learn Arabic because they read the Holy Quran, but I don't know that they are Arab. Actually, they are not Arab. So, so I sympathize with that, Oscar. It's like someone could be from Chile and they're saying they're from Mexico. That doesn't make any sense. Um,
Chile
and
or Peruvian in that
yeah.
particular.
Or Bolivian. How about the Brazilians? How do the Brazilians feel? Because they speak Portuguese, or is it Portuguese? I'm not saying that right. Um,
Uh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
because I think they're part of the Latinx community or the Latino community. I don't know what the proper word is,
Yeah.
Latin American
Yeah.
community,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they speak Portuguese. They don't speak Espanol or Spanish. But yeah, where were we? That's right. So, you know, I have a great deal of pride. I think, in terms of the accent and the accent mimicking, look, it depends on the context. You know, if someone just walks by me and knows I'm Arab and says, "Hello, how are you, brother Osama? How is everything?" I will take that to great offense, right? First of all, my name's not Osama. Osama's a nice name. Um, but you know, this whole "my brother, my friend," as if we all stereotypically talk that way. Um, you know, some of that can be taken to offense. It's all about context, but some of that can be taken to offense. Um, I think, you know, hey, if someone wants to crack a joke here or there, but to constantly be like speaking, like let's say your parents have that accent, to mimic them in that accent may be a little rude, I think, or to talk to them in that accent, or to talk to others in that accent may be a little rude. Like, I don't know if you've seen this, Oscar. I've seen it happen actually with a couple of my great friends who are Hispanic, where someone will start to talk to them in like almost a failed attempt at a Spanish accent, and it's like, no, man, we know you just talk like a regular American. Like, why do you have to talk like that? Sometimes it happens with with people talking to Arabs too. I don't know. I take that to offense. I don't know. Do you? I do.
Um.
Like some random guy you meet and he knows you're Hispanic and you're sitting here putting in your order, and he starts, let's say you say, hey, can I get a cheese quesadilla? And he says,
Well,
oh, you want the cheese quesadilla, huh? Like that was a poor example.
I actually haven't gotten that. In fact, to be honest, I get spoken to the fact. Okay, so some people think that I don't speak English at all, or they think that I don't know Spanish. I don't know if it's because my skin color of my skin is very dark, so I can surpass as a black person. In fact, I got teased a lot for saying that, hey, like you're very dark. Like, are you sure you're Spanish? I'm like, yeah, like, try me. Um, I mean, my last name says it all. Like, I don't. Correct me if I'm wrong. If people are named Montiel and they're from a different of ethnicity of not Spanish, please let me know because I don't know. even though a lot of people mispronounce my last name. Sometimes they get Montreal, sometimes they got Montel. It's different. Um, I again, sometimes I get mixed. There's never that um they try to tease me or whatever. They you know because I do get the occasional where they talk about, like, say, I remember this time in middle school where my locker was in between two classrooms and two students stepped out and they were trying to talk to each other in Spanish, and they asked me, they're like, "Hey, Oscar, do you know Spanish by any chance?" I'm like, "Yes."
So
If
I
you guys
guess I gotta make a
if you guys
confession. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. It wasn't really. It was just more of them. Oh, okay. Well, and I just told them, if you guys want to talk about something, go ahead. I'm not gonna stop you. I don't really care what you guys are talking about. I'm just here at my locker, um, picking some stuff up that I need for my next class anyway.
Yeah, I guess I have to make a confession here, Oscar. When I was first notified that I would be your mentor, and we have to get into more stories about that, as we were talking about in Pilot Part 1. So all you guys who are just tuning in now, be sure to check out Pilot Part 1. Um, when I was first told I'll be your mentor, I was told, and this is me stereotyping, so I do take responsibility for that. I probably shouldn't have done this in my brain, but it's sometimes happens psychologically, naturally. Not a justification, but it happens. So I was told, "Hey, you'll be mentoring a gentleman by the name of Oscar," and I heard Montel, like Montel,
Yeah.
or Montelle or something. So I heard like Oscar Montel. Sounds like a tall basketball player, potentially African American or an individual of color. Um, Oscar Montel or SoundCloud rapper. I don't know what I was expecting. But when I had met you and you told me you're from El Salvador, I was like, oh, that must be spelled differently. And I think I asked you at one point, how do you spell your name? So please don't take that detail to
No, I
offense. People
remember.
in the
So
comments, please drop below if you've ever had those situations. Go
yeah,
ahead.
no, I remember when when I first met you. In fact, the person that introduced you to me said, "Oh, his name is Name," and I'm like, "Name? Like, who's like in their right mind? Who's decides to call their kid Name?" It wasn't until after where I heard it was Naeem. I was like, "Oh," because I remember I texted one of my friends and I told one of my friends, I'm like, "Hey, there's someone with the Name," like, and they're like, "What? Like, are you sure?" I'm like, "That's what I hear." And then it wasn't until, like, I think the day after that it was like, you said, "No, it's Naeem." I'm like, "Oh, that sounds about right now." So now we're good. Uh,
Yeah, and I hate to do this whole categorization, or stereotyping type thing, but sometimes it naturally happens. Like, I have a great friend. I get a great friend who is Lebanese, and his name is Antoine. I have another friend named Antoine, African American. And I've always thought Antoine was, a name that Lebanese or other Arab Christians use because they had that French influence. So when I had met the gentleman, my friend who's African American named Antoine, I was like, "So you have some Arab roots or French roots, right? You're from the Caribbean, maybe?" And he said, "No, I was born and raised here. As far as my family can track back, we came from Africa many generations ago. So before the major French influence in Africa." So Antoine, I guess, sort of just was a name passed on to him. So names do say something about folks, but also in such a diverse melting pot like here in the United States, which is amazing. There are names that we just like. It doesn't mean it's of our cultural roots. Now I'll say, so my name is Naeem. As you can tell, I pronounce my name Naeem. Noon, Ain, Ya, Mim, in Arabic alphabets. And folks, they pronounce it Naim or Naim or Naim or Naim or Nahim. I've had all different types of different pronunciations. Like,
Or
you know,
Siri. My favorite Siri says Nayam.
Naim. Soon I thought I'd be confused for the great and
That's
amazing.
my favorite when Siri says when I say call Naeem and it says calling Naeem.
And that's the thing. I've heard people call me Nahim. I'm like, I love the singer Jaheim, R&B soul type singer. He's got some really good stuff, by the way. You guys got to check out Jaheim. But no, my name is Naeem. Point of the matter, why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because I think that's another thing of cultural pride is, pronouncing your name the way it should be as opposed to conforming to how other people pronounce it. Like, I get it, everyone can say Naeem, not everyone can do the Ain from the Arabic language. Ain. Let's try that again. Ain. So I get that, Naeem is maybe difficult for some. But for me, I can do it. So I have to say my name, Naeem. I don't know. Oscar, I mean, your name is Oscar. But like maybe you have a sister by the name of Alma, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if someone walks by and calls her Alma or Alma or something like that. We will have to reach out to her and see whether that bothers
So
her in any way.
so it's funny because we in English we get I remember as kids it was Alma, but it's pronounced Alma. In Spanish, the name Alma is Alma. So
So
I guess
let me try.
that's why I guess we get the or like Alma or stuff like that. So, yeah,
Can I
see it.
try? Can I try? I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it right next time I meet her. Alma.
No, Alma.
Alma.
Yeah, Alma.
Okay, and that means soul, correct?
Yep.
Soul. That's a beautiful name. So I'm gonna name one of my daughters Alma in the future, maybe. Inshallah, if God wills it. But it's a very nice name. So I think cultural pride is another thing that's always been with me. So the first restaurant I took Oscar out to in Richmond, Virginia. This was after. So if you guys checked out part one of our episode of our pilot episode, this is. We talked about going to Walmart, not really knowing each other, but having that professional hi-bye relationship, demeanor type thing. This was an opportunity for us to really get to know each other. So I remember coming over to Oscar's dorm room saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go grab dinner because I double eat. That's just how I am." And after that, we should go out to eat and get some good food.
There was a story.
So
There was a story within that. What happened to you at that cafeteria? We'll keep that between us, but we'll keep that between us. Oh man. Oh, that was great.
I I will just say I had gotten or too many plates of baked ziti and lasagna, very good Italian carbohydrate-filled meals that it powered me up and it made me feel pumped like iron. And we'll just leave that where that is. So I'd come back. We had gone to a beautiful restaurant that we have to give a shout out to. So for everyone who's listening, if you live in Richmond, Virginia, you have to check out. Hopefully they're still around, with the whole pandemic situation. You have to check out Doner Kebab. Doner Kebab is in Carytown, Richmond, Virginia. Carytown's like a beautiful district, about a mile or so of shops, mom and pop shops, and restaurants, and bakeries, and
Shout out to
cafes.
Carytown Burgers and Fries as well. Whew.
Yeah, the Carytown Burgers and Fries is a really good shop there. But the place we went to, because I'm, Arab cultural pride, I wanted to introduce Oscar to some good Middle Eastern Mediterranean food, being an Arab from Palestine myself. I took him to Doner Kebab. The address for all those in Richmond, Virginia, I believe, is 3400 West Carey Street, Richmond, Virginia. One more time, that's 3400 West Cary Street, Richmond, Virginia, and that's in Carytown, Virginia. So we had gone out to the Doner Kebab, and we had gotten some food. So talk to me, Oscar, about your first experience with Middle Eastern food, unless you had an experience before that I just don't know about.
So I didn't. I remember my family, like maybe my uncle and my dad, were into gyros, but I think that's as far as they've gone. I know we've had lamb, and I know that's a common food item of your guys is that lamb. But I really didn't enjoy it. Um, I don't know if it was because it was because I just had horrible aftertaste after eating lamb. Those who don't enjoy lamb can vouch for that, but Naeem can point you in the right direction of where to get good lamb, but that's gonna come up at a different podcast. But no, I never had food from the Middle East. I was kind of hesitant to get something outside of the norm, and you said that this particular establishment had sandwiches, so I'm like, okay, you know getting a sandwich isn't all that bad, I hope. So I picked a sandwich. I remember it had a lemony kind of zingy type flavor, which I enjoyed. Um, and I remember I liked it so much that I was like, hey, do you mind me, do you think I should get another one? And mind you, I didn't want to, show you that I was a big eater at the time as well. I'm like, because you and I didn't establish that before, yet as big as it is now, you're like, yeah, no, go for it. I don't see anything wrong with it. So I ended up getting another one. Really good price too. Like this a sandwich for like $7 for the quality. Quality over quantity counts for that. It's really good and tasty. Um, so yeah, that was my experience.
So I think you got the kebab sandwich from Doner Kebab. I had gotten the kifta platter. I think it was kifta kebab platter. Now
And
kifta kebab is
what is
like
that?
a s
Yeah,
yeah.
explain it.
So a kifta kebab is kind of like you could describe it. You can sort of equalize it to a sausage, I guess, if you really wanted to. What
Yeah,
it is, it's like ground lamb or ground beef or a combination of
yeah,
both.
yeah.
Heavily herbed up, so heavy amounts of herbs, heavy amounts of spices, some finely, thinly chopped onion, parsley. You marinate the meat, the ground meat, beautifully, and you grill it up. You grill it up on that beautiful grill, and you could grill some tomatoes on the side, grill some onions on the side. I got it with a platter with some fresh, flavorful pita bread, and I think there was some nice hummus on the side. Hummus is like ground chickpeas. We all know hummus, and yes, it's pronounced hummus. I know lots of people like to say hummus, but it's hummus, and Hummus, not humus, Hummus. Um, and this
Not the
hummus,
good.
right? It also came with tabbouleh,
Because I
tabbouleh or
remember.
tabbouleh, depending on how you say it, which is like a finely chopped salad, very flavorful. It was a nice platter I had gotten.
So, so
Go ahead.
fun fact. So I remember when I was in elementary school. I think it was when I was in third grade. Could be wrong. And they would serve like hummus pita at school. I'm like, oh, cool. But then when we were studying about soil and stuff like that, I guess like they they're like, oh look, they would talk about like humus or something. I forgot what and some people would pronounce it hummus. So at school they're like, we have hummus pita. I'm like, the dirt stuff. I'm like, that's edible, and in my mind, not knowing that there was a complete difference.
Yes, indeed. There's quite a difference. Hummus is chickpeas. So I didn't get this there, but what's a really good dish with kifta, in Palestinian, Lebanese, Syrian, Mediterranean cooking, is suniyat kifta, which is like a platter of kifta, like I described to you, thoroughly marinated with vegetables, onions, carrots, potatoes, sometimes tomatoes, put into the tray and baked very well. And soniyat kifta could even have some like, thinly sliced potatoes on top and very spicy and flavorful. I also like kiftat haniya. Kiftat haniya is kifta prepared with a beautiful tahini paste sauce, tahina paste, which is like a sesame paste that's also used in hummus. And this kifta tahiniya is really good. So it's kifta with that tahina paste and the finely chopped onion and parsley and other stuff. So there's so much you can do with kifta. It's so flavorful, so good, so tasty. It's ground meat. You can do so much with ground meat. You can make kifta sandwiches. I think you got the kebab sandwich. I think you got the chicken kebab sandwich, if I remember
And
correctly,
I remember
Oscar.
you gave me like a piece of your kofta, and I remember it was in it looked like a sausage link almost.
Yeah, so they had it on a skewer, is the way they'd prepared it, on a nice long skewer, and it was very well prepared. I can't say enough how doner kebab is definitely something you should check out next time you're in Richmond, Virginia. Another shout out to another good Middle Eastern restaurant in Richmond, Virginia, is Aladdin's Express. So Aladdin, like Aladdin, it's properly pronounced Aladdin, is a
We'll
uh,
talk
is
about
a
that
very good
in future
restaurant.
podcasts. Man, oh
Sorry,
man.
what was that?
We'll talk about that in another podcast because that
Let me just
all
let
I
me
gotta
just
say is
drop them a shout out, and
for
then we'll
for
talk more
for
about it.
no yeah for it was like 4 year hype. I remember I was hesitant because of certain circumstances, and I think that's another podcast in itself, Naeem. So we'll probably not talk about that today, but
Okay, we'll hold on to Alauddin, but if you guys want to check out Alauddin Express, if you're in Richmond, it's on West
or,
Broad Street in
or
Richmond. Go
Aladdin.
ahead and check it out, and you may know more to our story later when our next podcast episode where we talk about it. Okay, so we had finished our meal. I could tell we had to get accustomed to each other's dining dynamics because we were very different folks, if you will. Describe to me your experience of that evening, or what you had walked into in your point of view, Oscar.
So I don't know. I honestly, it was a new experience because I didn't know what I was gonna get into. I've never been for someone that never been to a Middle Eastern restaurant at the time. I was like, okay, I've nothing. I don't know what to expect. And I remember again, like you and I, we actually didn't because nowadays, you and I can, just pick a booth and talk and eat at the same time. Like not at the same time, but like hold a conversation. But I remember when we first met, it took us a while to actually have a conversation because I remember I'm the type of guy that likes to enjoy their meal and not eat. Like I'm like the type where when the food is served to me, I dig in. Don't talk to me for until I finish my meal. Or um, I'm raised in the where you don't talk with your mouth full, and I either signal, hey, I have food in my mouth, because that's just disrespectful if you talk with your mouth full. I don't know about you, Naeem. I'll turn that part of the conversation over to you. I don't know how what your dynamic is when you eat, because I remember you and I really didn't talk as much the first time we went out. I think we hit it off the second time, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think we tried Cracker Barrel the second time. But
Yes,
we'll
yes,
talk
we went to
about that later.
Cracker Barrel, which really has really good breakfast fare and Southern fare. Um, I don't think they have this at Cracker Barrel, but really good Southern food. Shout out for everyone. Some fried catfish dinner. What's really good is also Brunswick stew. If you guys are from Virginia or Georgia, y'all know about Brunswick stew. But what they do have at Cracker Barrel is chicken and dumplings, right? Nothing beats the homemade, home style, soulful chicken and dumplings. But those chicken and dumplings at Cracker Barrel are a pretty good alternative. If there are any better, please suggest in the comments below. I'd like to find them because I can't find I can't find uh, uh, Grandma Rosalind's chicken and dumplings anywhere anymore. Um, but I do love some good old fashioned Southern chicken and dumplings. So where was I? Um, yes, eating etiquette and dining dynamics. So my principal belief anyway, the idea of not eating and talking at the same time is definitely one I stand by and stand by strongly. And I do get irritated when I hear other people eating and talking at the same time. However, what I do to some people's positive appeal or positive feedback, and to others not so positive feedback, I would take a bite or two, hold conversation after I finished, grubbing on a couple bites, talk, sometimes get carried away with talking. As you guys can tell, I'm very long-winded. Sometimes get carried away with talking, talk for maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that, and then go ahead and resume eating, uh, which ends up resulting in a really long, drawn-out meal with
Yeah.
me. So
Whew. I
Oscar knows
remember.
those meals.
I remember when we were at a meeting, um, and it was at the shout out to Red Hot and Blue. Really good food. So I remember that meeting where you know you and I ended up showing up, and you got an order, and then you ordered your meal like during the meeting, I believe, within the first hour, and the meeting was over, and you still had your what was it? I think it was banana pudding. Um, and
Yeah,
you
good
and
old-fashioned banana pudding.
like
Nothing beats that
and
stuff.
then like 30 minutes and like even 30 minutes after, I mean, you still weren't you we like your mom and I had to drag you out of that restaurant. You're like, okay, hurry up, we're not here all day.
It's all about having a good time, y'all. It's all about having a good time. So, if anyone is the type like me who likes to enjoy a nice long meal that may last more than 2.5, 3, 4 hours, drop your info in the comments below, and maybe we will link up once this global pandemic passes. So, yes. So, I I was kind of like there, but I could tell Oscar was the type who wanted to really analyze his food and uh, analyze it from every angle, if you will. So we had wrapped up our meal, very good meal. I think Oscar, you had indulged yourself in a second kebab sandwich, very good stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and we had gone on our way back. I had said something about you want to go grab some ice cream, but you were tired for the evening. We had gone back.
It's
We hit
just
the
so
gym.
here's the thing. So with that, it wasn't that I was tired. It was I remember it was walking distance, but I think it was like a block away, and I honestly wasn't confident in my travel skills at the time because I didn't know how to cross streets properly. So I told you maybe it's best that we wait up on that until I'm comfortable enough. Unfortunately, you know what really sucks is that we never got that experience. I we completely forgot we completely forgot to do that, man.
Yeah, they got some good
In
ice cream
fact,
up there.
I just remembered now we never got to do it. In fact, I don't
Yeah.
even think we went to any dessert spots up in Richmond. I think if we did only those up here in Northern Virginia.
In Richmond they have Sugar Shack, and Sugar Shack has some of the best donuts, man. Some of the best donuts. Sugar Shack. Oh man, we got to try Sugar Shack next time we're in Richmond. Y'all go out and check out Sugar Shack. But yeah, so I remember we went back, we hit the gym. I fell ill the next day. I fell ill. And I remember, Oscar, and
Yeah,
this was
and
evidence
here's
that
the
you
thing.
are
I
a
remember. I don't know why I decided I was thinking back at it now. So I remember um there was someone there that was leaving the facility, the training facility. He got the training that he needed. And he was prepared, and he prepared a huge meal, what we call a graduation meal, And he said all
Indeed,
was invited.
indeed.
And he said all was invited. So and Naeem didn't show up at roll call, so I'm like, where is the guy? I hope that he makes it here soon. And I didn't see you all throughout the morning. So I was taken aback. I'm like, where is the guy? So then you again didn't appear. I was looking for you at the cafeteria. No, I wasn't the cafeteria. Throughout the classes, nowhere to be seen. So I remember when I first started the facility, I also didn't know how to do my own laundry. So I took the time. I asked an instructor, "Hey, can you teach me how to do my own laundry?" Because I've never done anything in my life. I was sheltered. Something that you guys need to know about myself is my family is very overprotective of me because I'm the, let's just say, unique for the moment.
We'll
But
reveal that by the end of this episode. Promise,
yeah,
promise, promise. Go ahead,
yeah.
continue.
So, my family did everything for me because they thought that that's the way to go. But now things have changed. So I'm here. Can you teach me how to do laundry? I don't want to make a mess of things. You know, can you please show me? And she taught me how to do laundry. And I think it was either during lunchtime, during the whole entire celebration, where I couldn't make it because I was told to stay at the laundry room to make sure everything and anything was taken or um, mixed up. So I asked one of the students, "Hey, can you get me a plate of the graduation meal?" And he kindly did. So again, I didn't see Naeem, and I expected him to see him at that graduation meal, and I was like, where is this guy? So I remembered, oh, his room is across from mine. So let me go double check. I knock on the door, and he opens up, and he's like, "Hey man, like, I knew that like he was like, how, hey man, like with a little squeaky, a little like weird." I was like, "Are you okay? Like you don't sound fine to me." He's like, "Yeah, I'm coming down with something." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well then, I hope you feel better," because I didn't know him well enough to tell him, if you need anything, just call or something. So I left it at that. And here's the thing, I left that weekend. I went back home to spend the weekend with the family, but I do remember I texted him. I think if it wasn't Saturday, maybe Sunday, the day I returned, I'm like, "Hey, I hope you're okay. Um, I if you need anything, just reach out." And I think, yeah. You got anything to add for that?
Yes, yes, indeed. And I think that's evidence that Oscar's a great individual, kind-hearted, uh, in ways altruistic, kind and clean-intentioned, high-spirited individual. He had reached out. He had reached out, whether he knew me or not, and really checked in to make sure I was well. And that meant so much to me, so much that I kept that in mind, and that's one of the cherished appreciations. As all good bros and good friends have, we have had our struggles later on, but those are for different podcasts, different episodes. But all in all, he's really a kind-hearted individual. So just a personal and genuine shout out to Oscar. But yes, I remember we went from there, and then it was a few days later or something. We wanted to go get our workout on. I eat so much, so I might as well work out just equivalent amounts, right? If not more. So we went to go get our workout on. It was dry. It wasn't raining when we had gone. We'd
It
worked
was
out.
grizz.
We
I remember
busted
it
a
was
sweat.
drizzling a little bit, yeah. But
Maybe it
yeah,
was, yeah. But I know we busted a sweat. We did a great job. And then when we were about to go back out to this was a rec building, gym facilities that are on the campus of our training facility, but not same building. So when not the same building. So when we went to go out, we heard it pouring rain so hard. Now we knew one of the dorm staff supervisors, a kind gentleman, kind guy, who was working out with us, was in the shower, and he'd known all the shortcuts we hadn't known. We were going to go back and shower at our own residences, but so we had decided, hey, we don't want to take the long cut in this pouring rain. Let's either wait for it to calm down or wait for the kind gentleman, and when he's done in the shower, we'll go ahead and all go together. Yeah, he took quite a long time. What was it, 2 hours or something? We went to go work out and do some
I
more working
remember
out.
we were there we finished working out at 10 p.m. He didn't come out until it was time for his shift at 12 a.m.
Indeed, indeed. And I'll tell you something. If you think he showers forever, oh, you haven't met me. You haven't met me. Um, but yes, that, and then we got an opportunity to really bond, really get to know each other. And then after that, we'd gone out to Cracker Barrel. I think it was the end of that week, actually. And our relationship took off from there, as is the case with any true brotherhood. Things just build up till they take off. And it really meant a lot that I got the opportunity to show my culture and my pride to Oscar on our first outing, to our first meal at Doner Kebab. And I hope you enjoyed the Middle Eastern food. We've gone on many Middle Eastern food escapades from that point forward. Now I need to indulge in some traditional Salvadorian cuisine, if you will. I know I've had pupusas a few times, some of the best pupusas actually, but I know you guys have a special soup with beef, right? A beef soup.
It's something like that. We also have tamales. You have to actually taste our sandwiches as well. And I think that you'll be pleasantly filled up, Naeem, because
Is it like a
so
Mexican torta, or is it different?
no
Like a torta or
no
different?
no 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 nothing like that. Nothing like
Okay.
that. For
Okay.
any El Salvadorians listening to this podcast, you know what I'm talking about. Because it's funny enough because that's actually more of a Thanksgiving slash any holiday uh, tradition, my understanding. And you'll be pleasantly surprised. I've gotten both sides of the coin. Here in the United States, most people here in the United States, they may be El Salvadorian, but because of they don't eat it as like the sandwich isn't as big. It's still big. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as big as the ones that I've seen in El Salvador. In El
You.
Salvador, it's
Mm-hmm.
huge. Like
Mm.
I remember when I because a friend of ours over in El Salvador makes them, a very nice family. Um, the mother she takes care of us when we're there. Um, she makes them, and she made them huge. And I remember I could barely finish the one, and she was like, "You want more?" I'm like, "No." That one actually did fill me up because it was ginormous. Again, El Salvador.
Oh, I love everything big. Y'all don't need to know this, but man, is my mouth watering, y'all. Man, is my mouth watering. That sounds like some good stuff. Sorry for interrupting. Tell me more. Tell me more. I'm so hungry
Yeah,
now. Tell me
no,
more.
it's just huge. It's the way I guess each El Salvadorian does it their own way. I know that another friend of mine, his mother makes them like very not very small, but like smaller, maybe a fourth of the size of the big ones. Just because she feels that you're supposed to enjoy the sandwich and not um like fill your belly all the way up to the point where you can't move. She feels that if you make it smaller, it's more enjoyable. If you want seconds, you can get them. Um, fill up to your heart's content type of thing. Where if you make them huge, you may enjoy it at first, but then you're like, oh, I want to finish it because it's so good, but I can't because I'm full.
Yeah, I've tried a Mexican torta. I think it's called torta. I've had
Yeah.
the yeah. I've had the what's the sandwich called? Um, sandwich.
Yeah, it's called a
It was
torta.
probably. Are there multiple different types of tortas? Are there different torta?
I think that there are different type of tortas too, because again, I get there's a place up here in Manassas, I believe, and then there's places in DC. I think my brother gets some here in Woodbridge, I believe.
So fun fact, we live permanently here in Northern Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C. I live in Vienna, Virginia, zip code 22182. Y'all know the 22182 zip code, some of the best in Northern Virginia. Man, I am pompous. I should admit to that. I'm quite pompous. And then Oscar lives in Woodbridge, Virginia. Is it 22193?
Yeah.
Wow. See, I remember some things. Woodbridge, Virginia is also a beautiful place. But yeah, y'all here in Northern Virginia, check us out, y'all. Give us some suggestions for good restaurants in this area. We've always lived here and we've tried a lot, but I'm pretty sure there's more to try. By the way, in Washington, D.C., you guys have to check out George's Shawarma King of Falafel, I think it's called. George's King of Falafel. They have some really good Middle Eastern sandwiches. They have chicken shawarma, lamb and beef shawarma. They have falafel. They're based in Georgetown. It's called George's. So literally just the name George, George, apostrophe S. King of Falafel, I think it's called. But check them out. They're in Georgetown. Really good stuff for all y'all in the DMV area. So so what is the name of the sandwich, Oscar?
Well, in English, it's a chicken sandwich, but in those of Salvadorians, we call it panos con pollo.
Let me try. Panos con pollo.
Panes. Instead of the
Panes con pollo.
Wrong again. Try again.
So panes.
Panes.
Añez. So no P, just añez.
No. Get rid of that ñ. Just use an N.
Panes con pollo. Okay, so I have to try panes con pollo. For all you guys who know some good Salvadorian spots in this area, direct us to the panes con pollo. Am I butchering it again? Oh my.
No, yeah. Well, we'll get the name. We'll get there. Don't worry.
Yes.
So yeah.
So you'll show me the sandwich, the panes con pollo, and I'll show you some good shawarma in Georgetown.
Whenever this COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, when the pandemic passes. And I extend the pan on pandemic because it's felt like it's been forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Is it just me, or Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace, felt like he passed away years ago and it was only a little bit before the pandemic?
Yeah.
Same with the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was in Miami, right? The 49ers, they won?
They lost.
Oh, the 49ers lost. Man, San Francisco. Shout out to the San Francisco 49ers, y'all. I'm a big 49ers fan. Anyway, so who are they playing against and who beat them? Because I'm not really much of a football fan.
They played against they played the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes.
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Type things in the postseason where most of the teams, I remember the first postseason game he played this season against the Texans. The Texans were up 24-0 with 2 quarters and a half to go in the game, and next thing you know, the Chiefs rallied 50 and beat them I think it was 55.
Weren't the Kansas City Chiefs, weren't they also in the playoffs last year too?
Yeah.
They were the Final Four, right?
Yeah. This time they made the finals too.
Wow, great job. Great job, Kansas City. Now, this may be a jab at our president here, just because we have to include one jab per podcast. Not really. Let's not jab at people too much. And it's not a jab at our president as much as it's a dumb question on my part. Are the Kansas City Chiefs based in Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas? And is there a Kansas City, Kansas?
Kansas City, Missouri.
Kansas City, Missouri. All right. Kansas City, Missouri. Naeem, Naeem. Naeem. Make sure you remember that. Kansas City, Missouri. Sorry, I do talk to myself sometimes, just to remind myself of things, because otherwise, the brain spills out of the skull.
Yeah,
Um,
and yeah. So they came back, and I think the final score was 50, maybe 51-24. Can't remember at the present moment. And then so then when it came to the final four game, I remember they faced the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee had them 17-7, I believe, in the second quarter of that game, or yeah, third, maybe second or third quarter. And they came back to win that one 20, no, 35-24. And then, of course, in the Super Bowl, they won it. They were down 20-10 with, I believe, maybe 8+ minutes to go in the game. And the 49ers, if they made one little pass, it was funny enough, if they made one little pass and they would have been in scoring position, and that game would have been over. But the receiver dropped the football, forcing the 49ers to give the ball back to the Chiefs. And, Patrick Mahomes does what Patrick Mahomes does in certain games, and led the Chiefs to a comeback and a Super Bowl victory. So, shout out to the Chiefs.
oh,
Thank you for actually hopefully ending the Patriots dynasty.
is um is uh is uh is Tom Brady retired, or is he still playing? And wasn't he
No,
part of the Patriots?
he was part of the Patriots, but he ended up signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ooh, that's an interesting name. Um, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Wow, am I that
Yeah, you're.
illiterate in the way of football? I didn't even know there's a team called the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Seems like the only teams I know are whichever ones consist of food. Man, I should go to a tailgating party next time there's a big football game going on. Um, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Isn't there another gentleman by the name of Peyton Manning? Peyton Manning? Was that his name? Peyton?
Retired 4 years ago though.
That gentleman retired. I see. I see. Okay. They're all great individuals. May the NFL live on.
One of
Continue doing what you guys do best. And
one of the best. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, are the ones that I grew up watching. I remember those. I'm not gonna lie, those two playing very legendary games. But anyway, um,
who's your favorite player right now, and who's your favorite team, if you don't mind my asking? Because I don't
I'm a
have an answer for you.
I'm a Washington Redskins fan. I know that some people out there may hate the Washington Redskins, but I stand by them since 2005.
I have nothing against the Redskins. I do have one thing against their name. They should consider changing their name. So you know, I just uh, worry that the term red skin or the term redskins was not necessarily the nicest term referring to the indigenous peoples, the Native Americans. So we should move away from the term redskins. If any NFL top head honcho is listening to this podcast, take this advice or leave it. It's up to you. But I have nothing against the Skins. I have nothing against their team. I do have a gripe with the name, however. The reason I like the 49ers is also a name thing. I am, again, illiterate in the way of football. 1849, was it 1849 when they had the great big gold rush to California, and Levi Strauss made his Levi jeans. Levi
Oh, that's
Strauss,
why
I
they
think, was
call it
his name.
Levi Stadium. That's something I didn't know, because their home stadium is called Levi Stadium.
Is it called Levi Stadium? Probably after Levi Strauss. I think his name is Levi Strauss.
Oh, that's
Um,
that's good to know. I didn't know
and
that fun
Levi's
fact.
jeans. hmm
That's good to know.
So San Francisco has lots of Levi's culture, it sounds like. But I also like it, and I know this was not the intention of the team's name, but I just find this a little quirky and a little fun. 49. The number 49 is an amazing number because square root of 49 is 7. 7 squared is 49. I love numbers that can be square rooted, if you will. So yeah, if there's a team called the 64ers, I guess, then I'll like them too, and the 36ers and the
I think if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember what sports it is, but there's a team called the 76ers. I don't know if you're gonna appreciate that though.
the 76ers. What's the square root of 76, y'all? I don't think it's an even number, or a solid number anyway.
Oh.
But yeah, there are teams that changed their names or changed their city names. Is it the Chargers who had done that recently? The LA Chargers?
Chargers, Rams, and the latest one would be the Oakland Raiders are now known as the Las Vegas Raiders.
The Las Vegas Raiders. So they went from Oakland. Was that Oakland, California?
Yeah.
So they went from Oakland, California to Las Vegas, Nevada. You know, I was out in Las Vegas, Nevada last summer, pre-pandemic, of course. And man, was that a beautiful place. There was so much good food to be discovered. It was a great experience, you know, just all the different food. Like you could find food 24/7. Like there's, you know, grub. Grub is my, you know, I thank God for the grub. I thank God for the grub. And I mean that in all seriousness. We should all be thankful in these tough and challenging times. Hashtag quarantine. You know, we are here thankfully comfortable in our residences, staying safe, staying well nourished, well nutritioned, if that's a word, full and satisfied. There are folks who are unfortunately struggling, and we have to do more to ensure equity, at least equity in the basic necessities, equity in the way of food, equity in the way of sanitation and healthcare, and equity in the way of shelter. And I emphasize equity, not equality. We can't expect everyone to live at the standard of living of Jeff Bezos of Amazon, nor can we expect Jeff Bezos to be expected to live a middle class life if he had earned his success and his great fortune and wealth. But we do have to work on achieving equity. I guess that's my rant for the day in terms of what we need to strive for together as a community and a society. But we definitely have to work on equity of food.
Well, Naeem, should we wrap
Do we want to
this
make
up
the big, great reveal we promised everyone on?
And why? Yeah. So again,
so let's make the big reveal. Go ahead.
We kept on saying to describe the place, the training facility, and with good reason. We had a reason for that, and again, you guys probably wondered why. The reason why is because both Naeem and myself are totally blind individuals. You want to go ahead and finish up so that way we can finish up this podcast?
Yes, indeed. So both of us are blind individuals, and blindness is not a singular term. It's not a universal term. It's how we coincidentally both of us choose to identify, right? You know, there's this whole legally blind, totally blind, low vision, vision impaired, and we should dedicate a whole podcast episode to going over all that stuff. But totally blind. I am congenitally blind. So I was blind from birth. My eye condition is called Leber's congenital amaurosis, LCA, and that is a genetic disorder. I think it causes a weak signal between the retina and the brain. So it's a retinal disorder. You know, there's a lot more that goes into Leber's congenital amaurosis. There are a variety, I believe 12, if not 13, different gene strands or gene strains families.
Yeah, that's the good thing, and I am to discuss. But again, I can tell that on your side, they're summoning you. So for all intents and purposes, let's try to we'll save that up for another podcast. But just well, we'll probably do it next podcast. But
Yeah, so next
so
podcast we'll talk about the specifics of our conditions. We'll do research, but give everyone a little intro into your condition, Oscar. Don't worry, we got plenty of time. So talk a little bit about yourself. Then we'll talk about the method behind our madness and why we didn't reveal our blindness from the very first second of the first episode, but actually at the very end of the first episode.
yeah,
This is part 2 of the first episode, the pilot episode. So go ahead and introduce your condition if you're comfortable, of course, Oscar. We respect HIPAA laws.
Yeah. So I'm not blind from birth. I actually had some vision. I lost my vision at 4 years old. I was born with a condition called hydrocephalus, which, if some of you don't know what it is, it's water fluid in the brain. Usually, when treated right, you know nothing can happen. But unfortunately, for in my case, there wasn't. I don't know the specifics, but for me, it wasn't treated right away when I was born. And due to that fact, I there was an overflow in the brain, destroying the ocular nerve, um, causing me to stroke out. I had a stroke, hence the reason why I did lose my memory. Because if you ask me to this day, because I do get that question, do you remember? Do you remember? Oh, you then you do remember. Well, unfortunately, I don't remember having sight. So, I did lose my sight when I was 4 years old, but I've come a long way since then. Naeem, do you want to get behind the whole entire method between of our madness of not revealing why? Um, we didn't we didn't include that little detail on our podcast.
Yes, so we did not include. So the method behind our madness was we want to focus this podcast and the theme of this podcast on the common ground, the similarities between the blind and the sighted. We don't want to make it an us and them narrative. We don't want to make it a narrative of the quote unquote the other. We don't want to make a narrative of the other, that is. We want to make sure that we established the common ground first. We laid the track works to ensure that our viewers who tune in know that blindness is not a defining, and I must emphasize one more time, not a defining characteristic of who we are. It is a fact, it is a reality, but it does not add or subtract to who we are as individuals or who I am as an individual. I should only speak for myself, really. But I know that, for me, blindness is sort of there. The fact that I am Palestinian, Arab, Muslim is something I hold so high a degree of pride in. Blindness is just something that's there. I've always felt neutral about it, normal. And some people may find that as offensive, or for people who maybe have become blind later on in life, they have other struggles to deal with. And I sympathize with those struggles. Unfortunately, I cannot empathize with those struggles because I don't understand those struggles. My normal is how I've always been, and I've always been blind, having, I guess, what they call light perception, where I could perceive and identify light, or whether a light is on or off. That's what they call light perception. But that's pretty much all I had. At one point, I think when I was younger, I had a certain degree of color perception, color identification. I don't know that that's still there, and I don't know that that was ever true, but that's kind of what my memory tells me I must have had at one point, like seeing the green grass or feeling the aura, I guess, the aura of the green grass. But yes, I think for me, I really wanted to separate my blindness from me and from the theme of this podcast. It will for sure come up, And please drop comments below if there's any specific blindness related issues you guys want a podcast episode on, and we could talk about how we approach any situation you want to know about. Whether Oscar and I approach things similarly or differently, it all depends on the situation. So for me, blindness was never a defining characteristic, so I did not want to make it a defining characteristic of this podcast. I want to lay the road work for a common ground scenario, more so than a differences or an us and them narrative. So I hope the attempt in doing that on my end, and I want to hear Oscar's thoughts on that, um, has been sure has clarified to y'all why we held off on that. Then we'll talk about the training facility named the Virginia Rehabilitation Center for the Blind and Vision Impaired, which we definitely want to shout out the whole staff and the Virginia Rehab Center for the Blind and Vision Impaired, VRCBVI's director, Miss Melody Roan, definitely deserves a shout out herself and her very effective staff and everything, very inspirational. And Oscar, so talk about your thoughts on that, and then we can talk about training in general and what training means. And then we'll make a more specific podcast on that in the future, but we'll just give a glimpse into what is training, I guess.
I mean, there's nothing left to say, Naeem. I mean, I think you covered it. I know that you weren't talking about yourself, and I gave you permission to talk to both of us because we come from similar backgrounds. Again, I don't remember what it is to see, like I stated before. And I was brought up being protected by every single member of my family. So I do want to thank the VRTPVI for showing me how to be more independent. And I carry that to this day. I know that you and I have had countless conversations on, are we ready? Are we willing to step into that real world? And I know that because of, Melody Roan, VRTBVI staff, I am ready. And that's something that, I felt comfortable with when I left was, I'm ready to for anything that life throws my way, no matter the circumstance.
And that's the thing. There will be obstacles that come. So what training really is it gives us the tools to put in our toolkit, the tools to put in our toolbox, the tools to put in our, like Dora the Explorer. They have a backpack. They have a backpack. I think it's there's a song that goes with the backpack. But Dora the Explorer, she has a backpack, and that has all their tools, all their essentials, their map, and other stuff. So, the training gives us the resources, the skills, but also for some, I know for me, it helps unlock or the experience, the exposure of training. I like the word exposure. The exposure of training gave me or instilled in me the confidence as well. Because skills is 50%, confidence is the other 50%, and vice versa. You could have the confidence and not the skills and be a clumsy chef, where you end up making boiled peanuts instead of roasted peanuts. By the way, boiled peanuts are good too. Anyway, or you make a big mess out of something, but you're confident. You're a good cook, even though you may not very well be, and vice versa. You could have all the skills, but you're like, I made the filet mignon. I made it so well with the caviar, and but I'm not confident about the elegant and eloquent dish I prepared here from or if you prepare a nice Parisian meal from Paris, France, or Paris, but you're not confident about it. What are the skills without the confidence? So for me, the training gave me both the experience, the tools, the skills, and as a result of that exposure, I grew the confidence. And look, the real training starts once we walk out of that training facility is what one of the leaders and assistant director of the training facility had always pointed out and instilled upon us is the real training starts when you go out into the real world. And what also helped for me attending that training facility was entering the real world. I know we talked about this in part 1 of our pilot episode here, that there were people of a variety, a diversity, a great variety of backgrounds and ages and experiences, people who were newly blinded, people who were blind from birth, such as myself, people who were blind at a young age, such as Oscar, people who had lost their sight at 78 years old, from glaucoma or diabetes or whatever it may be. Some people car accidents, some people injuries, some people gunshot wounds, a whole variety of stories. But the point of the matter is, regardless of the story, we all had a goal, and that was a goal of getting out and being productive, adding and giving to the society, and in turn giving to ourselves. Soulful kenosis, I think, is what Dr. Cornel West talked about in a Joe Rogan podcast episode I had watched once, where he talks about the self-giving, the self-enriching, and that's what ends up happening as a result of our giving to society. It is that soulful kenosis. It is that self-enriching experience. It is that wholesome experience that comes as a result of our being able to be productive, to be contributors to society, and to be wholesome citizens as well. So, needless to say, this was an enriching experience for me. It really added layers upon layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of experience that I otherwise probably would not have gained. I probably would not have gained if I went straight to college, because I would have been in that bubble of students who are all maybe between the ages of 18 and 22, 23, 24, 25. But this gave me the opportunity to interact on a daily basis with working professionals, with CEOs, or people who were or were planning on being CEOs, people who were still in school, so students as well, as well as people who had a tough time. There was one gentleman who I understand had served some time for having committed a crime. I don't know what the crime was, and that's needless to say, his private, confidential information. But the point of the matter is, we had everyone from different experiences, different backgrounds, and different stories to tell. And that's the nice thing about the American way. There's something I see here in the United States that I don't see much in other countries, like in European countries, is how we can so comfortably walk up to each other, right? We can walk up to each other and say, "What's your story, man? Tell me a little bit about you and what put you where you are now." I think Johan Hari talks about this in another Joe Rogan podcast. I think he had given the example of the United Kingdom. In the United Kingdom, the only time you may potentially, and may not even, but potentially, and only potentially, hear the phrase, "Yo, what's your story?" is kind of like in an interrogation room. "So, what's your story?" says the interrogator, the top investigator, the commissioner. So here in America, I could just interact with someone, walk up to someone, "Hey man, what's your story? Let me tell you mine." And that's what's so beautiful about the American way. And it's unique and special to the American way, to the United States, and to this culture. So needless to say, and I think I said needless to say earlier, so I have to, find better words of articulating what I'm trying to say here. It was an experience that I would never trade, and I have no regrets. Look, I started college a year later than I otherwise would have, but I think it was that year that gave me 5 years worth of experience. And there were some ups and downs, and we will have to talk about some of those in future podcasts. There were times I started wondering, am I going to get out of this alive? Maybe not in that dramatic of a sense, but you know how it was, Oscar. There were some bets I shouldn't have made. There were some handshakes I shouldn't have participated in, so on and so forth. So we remember that handshake very well, and we remember the implications of it and the results of it as well. So, make sure you only enter deals that are safe and clean to you, and deals that you have control over, and that the partner is a fair and equal player. There are some people who don't play clean out there; they just play dirty. So that will have to be a story for a future podcast. But yeah, tell me, Oscar, what did training mean to you? Because what it meant to me was that soulful kenosis, that self-enriching, self-giving experience, which allowed me to be empowered, to feel resilient, to feel independent. That self-advocacy, that empowerment, that had me just get up and say, "Hey, I can do this for myself," and in turn produce and give for others. We're all producers and consumers in this economy. We're all producers and consumers for our souls as well.
Wow. Okay. So for me, again, as I stated in our first podcast, again, give it a watch. When I first started at, I guess we can call it now, VRCBVI, my first goal was, get what I needed and get out. That was my first thought process. But I remember what changed was my first evaluation, my first month's evaluation, and they do what they call a staffing, but in the real world, they'll call it an evaluation. And it still stuck to me when one of my instructors said, I expect him, he's doing great, but it's gonna take him 6 to 8 months to, get where he needs to be. And in my mind, I was like, I'm not going to be here 6 to 8 months, with, all due respect. I'm only going to be here for maybe 3 or 4 months. But then I realized, yeah, maybe the 6 to 8 months is something I do need. Because, I was there still 4 months and I still didn't know, I didn't gain the confidence to, cook by myself. It took me within maybe February or March, and we'll get into insane stories about our little adventures about, being in class every day with, traveling and cooking and stuff like that. Well, Naima and I will get into that. But, you know, I wasn't confident, and spending those 6 to 8 months, to my family was like, why, you were gone for so long that you you sacrificed, time with your family and stuff like that. But I didn't view it like that. I viewed it as confidence building, so that way I can go into the store by myself, purchase what I need from at the store, and move on. You know, so it built confidence, it built knowledge and experience, because life is an experience. You have to experience things to know how to live. So that's what I gathered from what training meant to me was, gaining the experience and the knowledge to know what to do, and not to um not to plan anything in advance. That is something that I carry sometimes.
I think I think a quote that best sums up all the nonsense, hashtag no nonsense, the articulations I made here before Oscar gave his concise and to the point and heartfelt, genuine, sincere analysis of his experience. A quick quote that would have summed up my experience, and I don't know if this was Friedrich Nietzsche. I think this was Friedrich Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche, famous philosopher. I've read his works. Never figured out how to pronounce his name. Nietzsche. And I maybe slightly misquoting him since I don't have the quote exactly here. So someone please drop in the comments below. He who knows why, again, that's he who knows why can know how. And what that implies is once the purpose is found, once your identity, your purpose, you identify why you're here and what you're doing, you will know how to go about that doing, go about accomplishing and satisfying that purpose of yours. And for me, I found out my general purpose as a result of this training experience at the Virginia Rehabilitation Center for the Blind and Vision Impaired, which we will, from this point forward, call VRCBVI, as their abbreviations are VRCBVI. So for those who hear the term VRCBVI in the future, Virginia Rehabilitation Center for the Blind and Vision Impaired. Anyway, so the purpose, I was able to figure out my general purpose. The details will fill themselves in as I travel this long road known as life. I say that with humility. It may be a short road, and it probably is a short road in the grand scheme of things. But this road known as life. And what I found out was my general purpose is I want to give to myself and in turn give to others, as I was talking about earlier, the positive self-kenosis, the positive self-enriching, the positive soulful kenosis, pardon. And it's that knowing why that has helped me take the steps in pursuing how to go about how to achieve that why, WHYY, why. So ultimately, knowing my purpose was something I had gained from that center, and I cannot express enough gratitude for the folks there. And in turn, I am pursuing my how, step by step through college and through work opportunities and experiences, and through some endeavors and adventures I had participated in that had yielded positive, yielded negative, and yielded everything in between. So I cannot emphasize enough how much VRCBVI meant to my growth of character and boost of confidence. For me, thank you, Dr. Cornell West. I don't know if you're watching our podcast, Doctor, but thank you, Dr. Cornell West, for the term soulful kenosis, because it struck a nerve and it meant exactly what I was trying to articulate for years and years. And I only stumbled across your phrase, soulful kenosis, and you were referring to truly inspiring music. I do enjoy B.B. King, for example. B.B. King, great music. And all the other great soulful blues singers. You're referring to that, but that meant another thing to me. What soulful kenosis meant to me was my character and the deep inner self that came out through my efforts and my striving to achieve my goal of gaining the skills and thus inspiring the confidence that in turn led to me figuring out my purpose of wanting to give to others, which will in turn as a result give to me and give to myself. So I don't know that I can say any more without communicating what I've already harped on for so long, but it just feels good to finally be able to articulate what I've been trying to say for years, what I tried to say in my farewell speech at VRCBVI, although failed and I could have articulated better, having known the concept of soulful kenosis, having read some more Nietzsche, and having been able to understand myself better. But it was that training experience that brought me to those later realizations. So wow, I never thought I would get tearful, never thought I ever would get tearful, but maybe I'm on the verge now. I don't know, maybe I should take a break. Who knows?
Well, Naeem, that's a wrap for us. for those that are going to listen later, you can drop your suggestions on what we should cover.
There's so
Our
much. There are so
podcast.
many experiences, and you guys are our fans and our family. So, be sure to drop your suggestions. We want to hear what you guys have to say and what questions you guys have for us. So I can't say enough. Thank you, fam. I know I said thank you, fam, at the end of that part one of this episode, but I think I had a Wi-Fi internet signal issue, so it came out as a bye fam, or I forget if I said bye fam or thank you fam, but it came out as tham or bam or wham. Uh, so and not thank you, ma'am. So
Yeah,
I want to
exactly.
sign off all the time with the thank you, fam. What is your sign off, Oscar?
Well, we will be here either next Sunday or Monday, depending on ideas. And we will guys keep you posted. You guys can find me on Twitter at Oscar J Montiel 37. Facebook, Oscar J Montiel or Josue Montiel. I think I'm posted. I would have to double check that. I'll put that hopefully in the description below. And on YouTube as Oscar Josue Montiel. Follow my channel. Hit the subscribe like on this video, and we will see you guys next time.
Oscar, please repeat your Twitter handle. Your Twitter handle had cut out. Could you repeat that again, please? Sorry to interrupt. Thanks.
Twitter handle at Oscar J Montiel 37.
That's 37, correct?
Yes, that's 37.
All right. Well, we all have to follow Oscar on Twitter, Oscar J Montiel 37. I am not much of a social media type of person, but maybe I should get involved. I should. Let y'all let me know where you guys want to see me. You guys want to see me on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is you guys want. It's all for our fam. It's all for our fam. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
All right. And with that, we will see you guys next time. Until then, stay safe.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh. Finding the gallery is a pain.
Mm-hmm. Are you still recording or you're done?
No, I paused. No, I ended.
Submitting it. How were your thoughts? I think it turned out pretty good.
It's not pretty good, but I feel like, in my opinion, it's long.
That's okay. Bro, man, I've seen 4-hour-long podcasts. It's not a problem.
Oof. You are long-winded. I think maybe we should try to dim that down a tad and let me talk a little bit more.
Yeah, we should be sure to give you more talking time. How was my signal? Because I felt like there were a few times I had to repeat myself just to ensure I didn't get lost. Huh?
Yeah, there were times that were spotty, but we would have to look at the recording to know.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't as bad as the video, though, was it? Yes.
summoning you when I said that?
They were at some point. I'm pretty sure for like dinner or something, but
I wasn't. That's what I was trying to speed this up now. Hopefully, because
no.
here's the thing, I don't have links to the quotes, dude. Because that's the thing. Maybe we should stay away from quotes. I'm not sure if we're supposed to put
No, it's
those
okay.
on.
That's why we told folks to drop their comments below on the quotes. If you want, I could find you that particular quote as a link.
People take snaps and video call. Found it.
You did what?
Found it.
Found it. That's good.
I just don't know if it's the one that we deleted or if it's the one that we recorded
Mm-hmm. Let's play it
or
and find
we
out.
scrapped. I don't remember how we, because I think, well, we're gonna have to look. If it's more than, because I feel like we were on here for more than an hour.
It's okay.
That's,
What time is it now?
let me check that for you real quick. Yeah, I think you actually do need to go because, yeah, it's 11:05. All right, get off here. Hopefully, I can find it on my Skype.
If you need me to send it, let me know. But hopefully you could find
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. There's an easy way to do it. So all you need to do is when you click on the video to view it, there's an option where it says save. That should automatically save it to your photos and videos. So all you need to do is click on save, and then you go to your photos. Oh wait, I forgot, but you can't. You'd have to post it on YouTube. Shoot.
Yeah. Let me send it to your Skype. Don't hang up.
I got it. Actually, just hang up here. Um, I'll try to find it here on my phone Skype. If not, I'll just save it to my desktop because there is that option,
All
saving
right.
it to my desktop.
Okay, and then you'll upload it from there to YouTube.
Yeah.
All right. Make sure we upload the right one. So watch it in full before you upload it, and let me know what your thoughts are. So if it's an hour, I'll be around all night basically because I have
Yeah.
all these Mason things to do. Okay.
Yeah, you might wanna. Yeah, it's 11:05, man. You kind of actually register for the convention first because that's only like 5 minutes of your time, and I'll send
Oh
you the
yeah,
link.
that's true. Okay.
I'll just send you the. It's just literally 5 minutes. Like
Thank
it's
you.
that fast. It's like just your name, number, phone address, your phone, no, your phone number, email, your name, your
Street address.
address, if you're blind, and if you're a blind parent, if you're a worker or blind professional, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the application.
Okay. Sounds reasonable.
Oh, all right then.
All right. See you soon.